Good evening. Welcome to the Let Your Words Count podcast. This is episode 66.
Yes.
Is it 66?
Yep, Rejection.
Wow, I just guessed. All right. Episode 66. My name is Mike. I'm here with my buddies, Gary, Ethan, and James. And we are going to talk for a little while about the word rejection. But before we get into that, I want to remind everybody that is watching to like, share, and subscribe. Stop what you're doing right now. like the video, share and subscribe, and then we're going to prepare to let our words count. All right.
Absolutely.
How's everybody doing? Today is Monday. How was your weekend? Let's start with you, James.
Weekend was good. I don't know if you heard about it. Do you know Mother Clara Porter?
I do. You went to her birthday?
It was, we went to it was
Nice.
out at Lamb, and it was a real nice set.
Yeah.
Nice.
I saw the picture
Awesome.
from it. It looks like a great event.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart. That's
Yeah.
my girl. Anything else exciting happened over the weekend for you?
No, that was about the highlight of, well, actually it was something else, but we don't really need to talk about it. Not that it's all that private or anything.
Oh, all right.
No, it's not like that. No, okay. It was just that I ended up going over to Apostolic Way.
Okay.
Because my mother, she had that surgery a couple of months ago.
Yep.
And she hadn't been back, and she was waiting for the temperature to get a little warmer before she went out.
Okay.
And so she wanted me to take her there. And
Is she a member there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I cut out from my church after Sunday school, after teaching Sunday school, and I took her over there.
Okay.
And I was, just fully expecting to just sit back with her. Matter of fact, she told me, "You're not going up in the pulpit. You're going to sit with me." But I got over there, and the price pulled me up, and next thing I know, I'm bringing them words. So.
Oh, really?
Totally unexpected, but.
Interesting. How did that go?
It went well.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
well.
That's awesome. All right, we're gonna have to after we get done here, I want to know what you talked about.
Okay.
E, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good, man. Just recovering from a little neck issue, but other than that, it was pretty good, man. Had to take some steroids, which I try to avoid taking medicine and then medication and all that in that regard, right? You know what I'm saying? I try to fight through things, on its own, but I had to, man. I was impacted big
You said
time.
it was your neck. Oh, you said you hurt yourself in like a twerking competition.
Nice.
Bro.
I'm just kidding.
Brother got a joke.
What about you, G?
Not working, bro. Not
Working?
big, man. Mostly working.
Working?
So,
Okay.
So, yeah. Just
Okay,
Been
yeah.
busy lately. Got a lot going on.
Nose to the grindstone. That's kind of how my
Always.
weekend was too. It was pretty calm this weekend. I didn't do too much. I hung out with our aunt and uncle are in town. They came in town for a funeral, so I spent time with them. Had a little dinner at our cousin's house, but other than that, I didn't really do much this weekend.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of a chill weekend.
Yeah.
Today was eventful. Actually, it was the opposite of eventful.
Right,
There was
right.
absolutely nothing going on. But we'll talk about that offline. Anyway, without much further ado, anybody else got anything else on their minds that we want to kind of preemptively talk about? Okay, great. So we're going to get right into the program or into our conversation. So we're going to start with the introduction of the word. So the word for today is rejection. And so we're probably going to kind of approach this word from a couple different angles, but we're starting off something a little bit new. I think we've done it a couple times, maybe the last 2 or 3 times, but we've made it official. It's actually got a little graphic, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. We're just going to speak through it.
Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to do what we call our parable, which kind of is is an anecdote that relates to the word. So Gary, if you want to get started with that.
Yep. Parable we have is a key is placed into the wrong lock. It doesn't turn, no matter how carefully it's pushed or adjusted. Someone might assume the key is flawed, but when placed into the correct lock, it turns effortlessly and fulfills its purpose. The key wasn't rejected because it was worthless. It simply didn't belong in that door.
Nice. Wasn't
Very
worthless.
good, very
It wasn't
good.
a worthless key.
Very
like
good. I really
Just
like
had to
that.
go and fit into the right lock.
Yeah, I really like that.
And
you
then-
have any thoughts on that? Go ahead.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I was just gonna say, are we going to talk about the parable a little bit? We're still figuring out the format. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, or are we going to go straight into the...
Let's talk about it first and go to the structure after that. Yeah.
Okay. Gary, you want to give us your interpretation? No? All right.
No, I think it's one of those things, too, where it's like, this is something that I think affects a lot of people deeply. People start feeling rejection, and they think, like I said, either feel like they're worthless, not cut out for a certain task. It affects their self-confidence, their dignity, their all kind of things. But I think what we're going to try to bring out in the discussion today is how to reframe it, how to not let it be so personal. And maybe it starts off feeling that way, but how to not let it be personal and use it as a trigger to try to refocus. And because again, it might be a fit issue. Maybe you're not right for that thing at this time. It could be a timing aspect and not just a fit aspect. But again, I think it's just in general, when you encounter rejection, instead of trying to, let it be so self-defeating and destroy your confidence, try to look at it as a direction that maybe that's not the right thing for you at this time and maybe at a different time. Right.
Yeah. I was thinking, kind of the same thing you were saying, but, we all know that saying, the world is your oyster, meaning there's so many options, but given the parable you just talked about, it's clear that while there are a lot of options, not every option fits for you.
That's right.
So,
yeah. Very good.
That's very important.
Wonderful.
I think it's also important to kind of remember that rejection is defined just as much by your perspective or your personal outlook as it is by the whatever action we're talking about, the key not fitting in the lock. It's important to remember that the way that we think about denial or delay or, the patience being forced on us, I guess you could say. I can't think of another way to really phrase that. But all of these things can seem like rejection.
Yes.
And a wise mind would open itself to the possibility that it's not really rejection in some cases. In a lot of cases, it may not even be rejection. It could be some of these other factors that just require a little bit more patience or a little bit of a more optimistic outlook.
Right. Yep. I think that's the key. That's the key. It's all in the perception. So.
Oh yeah, very good.
Yep.
Very good. I think you guys want to get started?
Yeah, let's get into the definition, etymology.
All
What
right.
we have for the definition is rejection is the act of dismissing, refusing, or not accepting something or someone. One more time, rejection is the act of dismissing, refusing, or not accepting something or someone.
Even with that definition, you would have to reframe. You know what I'm saying? You have to try to find a way to maneuver your mind or transform your mind in such a way not to even look at that definition as a negative way. You know what I'm saying? Because the very moment you hear of dismiss, you almost think about denial or being denied of something or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those words that the meaning itself is negative, and like we talked about, the way to spin it is perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, here go to etymology.
Our resident language expert.
Oh, don't mind if I do. Turn it around a little bit more. Okay, let's see. The word is rejection. The etymology, the origin is from the French word pivot, meaning hinge. This is from last week, bro.
Last week's word, too.
Why are we doing that?
I love it.
Oh my God.
Bless his heart.
Man, listen, just read it. We're going to read it.
All right.
I'm up here thinking it was a real connection. Okay.
Right.
All right. Here, we're going to just read it.
Just read it.
Yeah.
You got it? All right, here we go. I got it. All
My
right.
bad.
The word etymology, its origin is from the Latin reshape, meaning to throw back. The word implies being pushed away or denied acceptance. It implies being pushed away or denied acceptance.
Good stuff.
Yeah. That was helpful.
Emotional lens.
Shoot, I'm just gonna read it.
You can read it.
I'm not even.
It's been a difficult day for us.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
A rough start, not to crash out.
Yeah. So the emotional lens is this. So the feeling, the positive. You guys already know, so whoever's been watching our show, right? So we take the feeling, the positive, the negative side, and we try to break it down to see both perspectives and see how we can build and mature based off of those two different opposing views, so to speak, right? If you want to look at it as opposing view, right? But the positive side, the hidden potential, is redirection, clarity, and refinement. Okay, that's from the positive lens of rejection. Okay, I'm gonna say it again: redirection, clarity, and refinement. The negative side will be hurt, exclusion, self-doubt, and inadequacy. All right, once again, hurt, exclusion, self-doubt, and inadequacy. That's the negative side of reflection. Why? The purpose of this emotional lens, what we're trying to grab or drop here is rejection often feels personal, and that's very important to understand right there. Reflection or rejection often feels personal even when it isn't. It challenges identity, belonging, and worth. So once again, it challenges identity, belonging, and worth. And this is a couple of words that we've been using in the past anyway. So anybody want to start off with this right here? And once again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. We've been having a rough time this evening. All right. Go ahead, Mike.
So the word that stuck out in the emotional lens to me was refinement. I hadn't even thought about it from that perspective, but it makes me think of like the smelting. Is it smelting? No, it's like refining like gold or precious metals. When you mine those things and they come directly from the earth, they're in what we would consider an impure form for the use cases that we have for things like gold and precious metals. And so the process of refinement is, in that instance, putting it into, fire or an oven and things like that to melt it down, because the impurities then become separated. And at the end, you're left with that gold, which means that you've rejected whatever those impurities have been, according to this, the emotional lens here. And so I think about that in the terms of just everyday life. We're in a process of refinement within ourselves a lot of times. As long as we're, trying to be, we are. And what that looks like to me is figuring out which parts of ourselves, which parts of our lives, which parts of the inputs that we may get from life or other people or whatever are things that we are looking to, let's say, boil off in a sense, and I don't, it stood out to me because I like that word refinement. I used it in a project that I did several years ago. And it's just, it sticks out to me. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of highlight that word right quick. I didn't really have too much of a thought on it.
I think picking up on that from the spin we're putting on with this episode too, like the refinement is, yes, you're trying to get a more pure gold or silver or whatever, but even the things that get cooked off and boiled off or whatever, while you're refining gold and aiming for gold, the what they call it, dross or whatever the extra stuff is that gets boiled off, doesn't mean it's not useful. It's just, if I'm trying to get gold out of the process, that's what I'm looking to kind of retain and hold on to. And you might be rejecting the other elements that are kind of a part of that process, but again, it doesn't mean that those elements are not valuable in some other instance. It's just a matter of, that's not what I'm going for right now. So I think the whole thing we're talking about, like, again, in trying to refine and not refine specifically, right? But in trying to like get to a specific thing and rejecting some other part of it, it's just because that's not the right fit for the moment. You know what I mean? That's not the end goal that the person's looking for at that point in time.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say picking up on what you just said, I was thinking in terms of an organization, and an organization with people with various skills and abilities. And sometimes someone may want to jump into a particular area, but then their skills don't fit.
Right.
Okay, so of course they're going to be rejected, if
Yes.
you will.
Yep.
But in reality, it's not so much a rejection as it is, I think, it's a refinement
Sure.
from the standpoint of the individual has value,
Right.
but the value won't be borne out in this particular area here.
Exactly.
And so then now they, if they're mature about it, will have to be able to get over themselves and not look at it as because I wanted this and I was rejected, therefore my feelings are hurt. You know, my professionalism has been dented and maybe I should start looking for another company. But yet a wise HR manager or boss, knowing the skills of the individual, would be able to find an area within the company for them to work so that the whole company can excel.
That's a good point.
I love it.
That's a good point. Just understanding the wise leader understands the people who are they're leading, and then they put them in place to where they can be the most effective. That is literally refinement on a kind of a more macro scale. And then that goes back also to the idea that rejection, what might seem like rejection, may not be rejection. It may just be, okay, we need to redirect what we're looking to do, you know.
And, you know, along with that, I thought of another one that is straight out rejection, but it's for your good. I was thinking a situation, we've probably seen it in movies as well, but a situation where, you know, you got young kids, you know, wanting to come together, and you have a little older ones, and someone sees a kid coming in and say, that kid doesn't fit here. You know, maybe they don't fit because they know that what these kids are going to do is probably not good, and we don't want to taint this kid. And so for your own good, we're going to tell you to go away. We're going to tell you to go home, and, you know, we don't want you here, because you're actually looking out for their good. But you wanting to be part of this group, you feel rejected, and you're going to take it personal. But you may not realize it was actually for your good.
I got you.
Man, that's really good.
You kind of had me in the first part of what you were talking about, and then when you continued,
I brought it home, right?
I was like, oh, he's not talking about segregation anymore. I thought that's what he was talking about. My first thought was like Ruby Bridges. You know, you remember the Ruby Bridges movie? That was my first thought. But yes, I agree with you. Just, you know, realizing that some people are just not a good fit for certain roles or positions or places. That goes back to not taking things personally, which came up in the emotional lens as well. It's just, again, just that reframe, just recognizing that there are certain things that disappoint us that are not necessarily things that are detrimental to our progress or our well-being. You know?
That's real good.
You know, I had a situation, because I think when we talked about this earlier, I think someone said think about it from two standpoints. One where you were rejected, and then another one where you did the rejecting. And so I thought back, and of course, you know, there are a lot of different situations where I was rejected, of course, but I was thinking of one in particular when I got out of the Navy. You know, because I was a supply officer in the Navy, spent 6.5 years there. And the way it works, especially when you go to a ship, you actually have two main jobs. So on the ship, as a supply officer, they have four main areas. One is the galley, or the food service area. And so with that, you are the manager, the officer, if you will, over the chief petty officers, the first class, second class, and all the cooks as well. Okay? And of course, you know, feeding a crew is a large undertaking. It's more than... I'm sorry. You know, you know, it's more than just the feeding. It's also the stores, the ordering, and of course, there's a budget as well to make sure that on a daily basis you don't exceed. So you may want to do a treat for the crew, for example, where you have steak and lobster, but you know you have to do hot dogs and beans on some other days sort of to balance it all out. Okay. Then, of course, being able to bring the stores in, make sure there's not spoilage. So all of that's just one job. You know, when I first got on the ship, for example, I was that, and then I was a dispersing or the payroll officer as well. So, you know, I had the safe, and I had like over $1 million in accountability. And what I'm getting to is when I got out, and so then now I'm going to different jobs. give him my resume. And, so I'm thinking I got all of these skills and these abilities. I remember and I interviewed in Chicago. Mm-hmm. I don't even know this company is still around, called Airborne Express. Mm-hmm. I think you remember that. They may not be around anymore. Okay. So. Well, I interviewed with them. And the person I interviewed with, I got the sense that I was probably going to be working for them if they hired me. Mm-hmm. And so then I'm going through my skills and what I did in the Navy. And then all of a sudden he got confused because he thought I was moving from one job to the other. And I said, no, I was doing them both at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I'm convinced that scared the person off because they saw the skills that I had was probably much greater than what they had, or maybe they thought it was not going to be as much of a challenge for me knowing what they, and so for that reason I was rejected. I wanted the job, obviously, but I was personally rejected.
And that's why they're not in business anymore.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Where I did the rejecting, at the church I grew up in, at one point I was the youth chairman, okay? And this is during our heyday, if you will, where we had the organization and we're all visiting one another, and it was, on Saturdays, of course, Saturdays was always youth day, right? And on this particular one, we had, we called them musicals, right? And so, we had not only our own choir, but invited some choirs from the local churches that we associate with. And the key point is that we associate with, right? And so as the service is going on, and then someone tells me, someone needs to see you in the back of the church. There's a lot of people there, so I go back, and there's some young fellas there. And evidently they're young fellas from the neighborhood. And I guess we were loud enough, the church, that they saw, they heard, and then they knew something was going on. So I guess these young fellas said, well, hey, we got our own gospel group. Can we come in and get in on this? And so we can, because they figure we can sing, there's a crowd, let's do it, right? And so I had to try to explain to them why we're not going to let them sing. And they couldn't understand it. I was trying to be nice, because I knew from their standpoint it was an opportunity to have their skills shown amongst others, so maybe they can build on this. But I knew that that's not why we were there. And so then if I had put them up, which I wasn't going to do, then all the other saints, they would look like, who are these people? I have no idea what they were going to sing, or I had no idea. So I had to reject them, and so they walked away feeling like they were cheated out of an opportunity. Because I'm sure their mindset was, this is a church, it's a gospel group, what's the problem? So that's a situation where I did the rejecting.
That reminds me of, they probably left your church and went to go sing for Mr. Clark in the Lean On Me.
Good one.
It's like, forget that guy. He don't know what he's talking about. Yeah. So I'm thinking about the process of we touched on this briefly in our conversation, the three of us, a few days ago, where we were talking about allowing outside input to take root versus choosing things that are from outside that we would reject or not allow to take root in us. And so just to catch you up to speed, we were talking about people who may not speak life when you're in conversation with
Gotcha.
them.
Okay.
And so we were just talking, kind of talking about that, and I was asking the question, how does that work? How is it that we can hear things? We were talking specifically about words that were being spoken that we hear. How can we hear things? Because you don't have a way to not hear if somebody's in your vicinity and they're talking. If venomous words come to you, how do we keep those words from taking root? And so after that conversation, I was kind of thinking about it even more. And there are, from what I can estimate, a couple options. There can be the act of what we would consider to be rejection, or we can let it be something that we just let pass, which is still kind of rejection, but I think it's important to note the difference, because one feels to me more a little more like something that is more active versus something that is more passive. Like I think letting something wash over you is a little more passive versus addressing something directly and casting it down, so to speak. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I think that there is a it's just like you said, right? There can be rejection is going to feel and be received as or interpreted as negative a lot of times, right? It's not that you're going to change the way you feel or that you have, maturity maybe brings with you the ability to kind of choose to process it differently. But in some cases, rejection is meant to convey all those negative things we talked about. In some cases, it is just where a person says, look at you and for whatever reason are saying no, or some situation is saying no. Negative things are going to happen. Negative feelings are going to happen. But the maturity comes in the ability to look at that situation and see a bigger picture and choose to not be defeated by that one case of rejection. We talked about this when we talked about regret some episodes ago, right? Having regrets in life is a natural thing, but it's a matter of getting yourself to that point where I can reflect on regrets that I've had and find something positive to take out of that by choice, because the word by itself, the simple definition of it, the experience of it, the feeling is negative. But knowing that we have the choice and the ability to say, I'm going to take this thing that feels negative and I'm going to choose to try to find a way that I'm going to let that negative thing shape me into something better. And that goes back to that same analogy, like with, refining metals and stuff like that. The process is you're putting through this thing that would seem to destroy it. If gold has a shape or a nugget has a shape before you put it into the furnace, it comes out liquid. You're destroying whatever that previous thing was. But the intent is to make something new and different once that process is done. We can choose. When we go through the inevitable negative things we're going to in life, we all have the choice to say, I'm going to take this negative thing that happened, and a mature mind says, I want to try to find a way to get something positive out of this negative experience so that I can recover something. I can go forward with that and be more than what I was before I faced that negative situation, right? So
are you considering the process of dealing with those, let's say, venomous words, are you considering that more a process of integration or like, well, I guess let's just let the question stand there.
That's part of it, right? Because I think the first thing, like you said, hearing versus listening, right? So if somebody's in your vicinity and says something that you, like you said, is a venomous word or something, you're going to hear it. You can't unhear it. You can plug your ears or something like that. But if you happen just to not be aware of that and you hear it, the word, like you said, maybe is meant to be something destructive. It's meant to be something that's going to hurt somebody. The question is, do you want to be affected by that? Do you want to let somebody who's speaking a venomous word have that same impact on you? Or do you make the choice to say, I heard this, but I'm going to not integrate that, to use the word that you did. I'm going to not take that to heart as much as you can. But I think the kind of the point of our conversation the other day was sometimes these things maybe stick in your head and you have a hard time shaking it off. Mm-hmm. And then it's a matter of you have to continuously, when the feeling comes up again, remind yourself, I was doing this with this word that I heard. I was choosing to integrate. I was choosing to reject. I was choosing to reframe. We can look at a situation that gives us a negative feeling and work towards having enough control over ourselves to manage and manipulate how the end product is, if that makes sense. Am I answering your question or no? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know what I thought of as you described the situation, the word perspective came to my mind. Mm-hmm. Because especially if a person is saying it with purpose,
yes,
they intend to say the words that may be received or are received. They're definitely negative. They're definitely venomous, as you said. Well, from the perspective of the person that's actually doing the speaking, they may feel that there's benefit in those words, okay? But then those that are receiving, we may make a choice to say, that's nothing that I want to receive. You know, it makes me think about something I think the Apostle Paul wrote talking about stopping the mouths of the naysayers or something along those lines. So, right, we can't always stop our ears, okay? And like you said also, it's hard sometimes to get things out of your mind. Once you've heard it, you can't unhear it.
Right.
So then now you have to go through the process of not allowing it to take hold or take root, if you will. So either you can actively reject, by sometimes you can say words that stops the person from continuing on the path that they're on with the words that they're saying.
Right.
And sometimes that's where wise words comes in. Sometimes reasoning comes in. Or sometimes just pull out your blowhorn and just blow so loud that they have to, okay, I'll stop. That's active, but the passive may be what we just talked about, where if you can't stop the person from saying what they're saying, then that's where maturity or control within yourself has to come in and say, okay, I can't unhear it. If I'm not in a position to stop it, then the best thing I can do is rely on what I have on the inside of me. Knowing, and in that instance, you're first identifying that what you're hearing is not beneficial, that is not good. So if you don't know that, then of course you may receive it and then you may consider it as well. But of course, given the scenario we're talking about, you recognize that it's not good. It's not a benefit. So then therefore, that's the first battle, knowing that it's not beneficial. And then so then now you can actively take root. And you know, really, that's what the scripture talks about when it says rejecting devils, if you will. And it's not, of course, the pitchfork and that type of thing, but it's really those ideas that try to get planted in our mind. You know, because if we don't get them out, they will lay there dormant until a situation arises where all of a sudden you may find that you're saying words similar to what you heard someone else say because it's been planted there. And then as the words are coming out of your mouth, you realize, I know where this came from because I didn't reject that thing right away.
Okay. So both of you have mentioned the process of rejecting it, or the ability to look within oneself and not allow words like that to take root. Allow me to dig a little bit deeper and ask, what, in your opinions, what does that process look like? Is it just self-talk? Is it, prayer? Is it like what does that look like in practice?
I think for me, because like I said, and I've had this talk with my kids a lot. If they are interacting with somebody that doesn't have their best interests at heart and something that was said hurts them, my constant thing I say to them is, do you really want to give somebody who is not your friend, doesn't have your best interest in mind, your well-being or whatever else, do you really want to let somebody who's shown themselves to be an enemy have the kind of control over you where they say something bad and it messes up your day or gives you this bad opinion? And I tell them at the same time, I tell them that, like, that's not me saying, looking at this situation that's obviously bothering you and trying to minimize it and reduce it down to this one statement and say that's all good. I'm trying to distill for you what 20, 25, 30 years of doing that has kind of taught me as far as the mindset to approach those things in. So if I can look at like an instance where maybe I applied for a job that I didn't want, that I wanted and didn't get. It's a conscious decision after a lot of reflection where you might first get that rejection, say, okay, my feelings are hurt. Why wasn't I qualified? Why wasn't I chosen? Do they have somebody better? Is everybody else better than me? All these things you can kind of spiral and have all these self-defeating negative thoughts. And I think the process has to be, you're going to feel, like we talked about before, you're going to feel those negative feelings. You have to have a mindset of, when I face a hardship, I'm choosing that I'm going to come out of this hardship on the other side. I'm going to make it through. But then the question is, what do I want myself to look like? What do I want my changes to look like when I've come out of it? So if you can kind of set your mind and say, okay, this is a rough thing I'm going through right now, maybe it's going to last a week, maybe it's going to last a year. Whenever this is done, I want to come out maybe not impervious, but a little bit more protected against going through something like this and feeling this kind of down space again. You know what I mean? It's a matter of when that negative feeling comes up, you have to remind yourself, I am trying to be better, I'm trying to be something different, and I'm going to choose to let this negative thing help make me into something different. When you, and you know this from your job, when you take a piece of lumber or something like that, it's a negative process when you're sanding that piece of lumber down. You know, all the sawdust is pieces of that original piece of lumber that was there that you had to scrape off and get rid of in order to get down to that polished table leg or chair leg that's within that piece of timber. You know what I mean? So those are negative processes. Those are processes of taking something off, refining it, shaving it will be a painful process if it had nerves. That would be something seen as negative. You're rejecting those parts of the wood that was that sawdust, but once it's done, that piece of wood comes out and it's polished and it's painted and there's everything else and it's what you wanted out of it. We have to kind of look at ourselves like that. If I choose to say I'm going to face something negative and I'm going to choose not to be defeated, well, what are you going to do? If I'm choosing not to be defeated, I got to figure out something I can take from this situation, apply it to myself, that this negative thing, before I face this negative thing, I didn't have the ability or the opportunity or the catalyst to bring something better out of me. So I want to try to find where I can let this thing that I'm facing and the feelings that I'm feeling, mostly negative, how can I take those and let them change me and shape me into something that's more like what I want to be when that process is said and done. That's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for the situation. And it definitely is something that's not going to be your first time doing it. You probably won't be able to just hit those points and say you're just going to move on. It's something that's learned over time. And all these little gray and white hairs here are all the testament of having gone through something like that and looking back, like if I had known earlier I could have approached my rejections this way, I would have been better sooner. You know what I mean? As opposed to letting them keep me down or keep me back, held back, or sulking and feeling, kind of dwelling in these negative feelings. I didn't realize at the time that I could choose to have a different perspective, that I could choose to be better on the other side of it and letting those negative things get that extra sawdust off of me that it's not wanted, so I can be that polished, ready to use table leg or chair leg when it's all said and done. It's perspective, right? But it's not that it's easy to do, but that's kind of what I hold on to as I'm going through, looking at, okay, how can I let this make me better, right?
What comes to my mind is a couple of words.
One second.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that was a fantastic analogy with the table leg. That was spot on. Okay, you like that?
Very good.
Well,
I'm watching you restore furniture before. So yep.
Well, I don't know if I want to say anything now. Mine may not be fantastic, so I don't know.
He's feeling
Everybody gets one,
He's feeling rejected.
I love it.
No, a couple of words came to my mind in trying to answer your question, as I think you posed the question. One is identification, being able to identify that something has happened that has been negative. Because, sometimes you've been insulted and you may not even realize you've been insulted, right?
You realize after the fact?
Right, after the fact,
Right.
So without recognizing it, it may be good in the sense that it was like water off a duck's back, so to speak. Someone meant to harm you emotionally, and you just didn't get it, But discernment comes in as well, okay? And one of the situations I think about is, and I think this can be pretty common, when someone has an illness or an ailment, and then other people pile on, yeah, girl, I had this situation, and it seems like it's this general conversation we're all relating to the subject at hand. But I don't think that but a wise person will recognize that an atmosphere is being set, a mindset is being set, which is, this went wrong, this went wrong. If you're not careful, if you realize their mind starts going to situations that they could add on to say, hey, yep, this happened and this happened. And so then now everyone's talking negativity. But it doesn't seem like it's negative. You're just sharing your experiences. But then after a while, you register, and then now you find that you may have started to build a foundation for being a hypochondriac now, looking for something wrong, because if you're around people who are always ready and willing to talk about what went wrong, then if you don't recognize that, you are being harmed. You may not recognize the harm right away, but eventually you will recognize it. But if you see the situation as it is, then maybe you can say words to change it. Yeah, man, I know that happened, but this such and such thing happened, and you can come out of that. Someone else say something, you say something positive. And then clearly they're either going to kick you out because they want to stay on that conversation, or they'll get what you're saying, which is negativity is coming. I'm going to reject that and try to put back positive words in this situation.
Can I add something to that too? Because taking that exact scenario that you mentioned, because when people, the saying misery loves company.
Yes.
Right? And when you're around people and that momentum starts to build of, I got a more negative story than that, I got something that's worse than that, something that's worse than that, and you keep experiencing that, this is, again, one of those kind of things where, okay, once you realize that this is a negative echo chamber, and you realize that this is not the mindset that I want, or not something that I need, or you've gotten to that point where you recognize, I used to do this and I no longer want to. This is one of those kind of things where if I find myself in that situation again with the right mindset, when I'm sitting there, like you said, if you can't affect that group to be more positive, and I find myself there and they're bringing up something negative again, and even if I might feel enticed to kind of share, you have to instead use it as, I remember, right, that I chose to say, I chose to not go down this negative path anymore because I recognize something that bad that it does to my mindset, my faith, whatever, that when you are in those situations again after that, I kind of take it as, okay, this is my reminder, right? This is my reminder. I recognize the situation that I was in before, and I'm reminded that I want to be of a positive mindset and not what's going on now. And either withdraw yourself, or if you want to take it and look at it as a bigger picture, maybe this reminder is because I'm about to face something that if I go into it with the negative mindset, I'm going to lose.
Wonderful.
So taking that experience of, okay, I've seen this before, I've been here before, I remember I had to challenge myself and grow beyond being a part of this mindset. When you find yourself there again, just take it as a reminder, build yourself up. This is what I said I'm not going to get involved in, what I'm not going to do, and let your mindset go where it's supposed to go, where you've chosen for it to go, when you move with intention. Right?
So in that situation, rejection could be something that everyone sees.
Yes.
Or it could be personal.
Yes.
And no one else around knows that rejection is going on, but you have within yourself rejected the atmosphere that's going on.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna need Ethan to chime in here too.
Oh no, you good, man.
Bro, come on.
This
cooking.
Really,
You've been cooking.
This is really good. No. Go ahead, y'all. Yeah. It's because there's a lot to be said. I mean, you know what I mean. I was just jotting down some notes here, just thinking about everything. I'm compiling everything that you guys said, and I was just thinking about a lot of times with rejection. Sometimes people would think that they're defective or something, and rejection doesn't necessarily mean you're defective. And it seems like it negatively goes to that point, and that's not necessarily the case. It's an opportunity for maturity and growth. Absolutely. Maturity and growth. If you want to look at it at another level, let's embrace rejection as a means to taking a step back for a catapult forward, instead of looking at it as a absolute negative and I'll never achieve anything. Look at it as a resetting your mind, resetting boundaries, and maybe you have to push that boundary a little bit higher for you to reach it. Maybe that was a favor that was happening towards you, like you said earlier. Yeah, it's a favor, but we don't look at it like that. Why is that? It's because of immaturity kicks in.
Ego.
You know what I'm saying? Ego, pride, ego. One thing that I wrote down was like you said earlier about, or it was you, I can't remember, about self-reflection. And if we don't guard our mind and our heart, then that's where resentment comes in. You know what I'm saying? Because after a while with the rejection, you say, I coulda, shoulda, wouldas. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no. That's not the whole purpose of this rejection. Now that we're having this conversation and hearing you guys' perspective about this, I'm looking at it like truly rejection is a action that can that needs to be confronted. When a lot of times when people are rejected, they feel that they're worthless, and then they move on to this path that of many actions, many negative actions that would transpire because of that, right? But are we asking the right questions when we reject it? Are we given the opportunity, right? Which we should, right? It's not like, you know, that you're prohibited not to ask the question. If you've been rejected, okay, can I put you to the side? Can you give me some reasons why you rejected me? You know, can you help me understand? Even a bad credit score gives you a reason why you're rejected. You see what I'm saying? You could get a bad credit score if you 40. If your score is 400 or 500 or whatnot, they're going to give you a list and bullet points of where you can improve. You see what I'm saying? So if the credit history or your credit score gives you a calculation, why can't we be more calculated with the rejection? You see what I'm saying? Instead of sitting there with the 500, because there's a lot of people who say, hey, if I'm still in this 500 or whatever, 500 or below, I'll never achieve. No, that's not the point of it. To me, I really don't like credit scores and all that. I really don't. If to me, I don't know if it hinders or help or anything like that. And I'm not trying to go there. I'm only using this as a point of rejection, how it looks to be denied, how you are declined, how are you denied of something, and you're like, man, how about this? What if you have the qualifications, what you were just talking about? You come from the Navy 6 years, you go and start looking for jobs and whatnot, and people looking at you, and you are being rejected because of your skill level. That happens all the time. It happens so many times. I got family members that have master's degrees and different things like that, and they can't get a job. Why is that? You see them, they're overqualified. And it could be cultural, it could be environmental. You go down the list. But that's not our point to go down that list. The whole point is to look at it and say that, okay, here where I'm not worthless because I've proven that I have my degree. I've proven that I'm qualified. That means that I need to be nudged in another location instead of having an expectation what I think is right? Because you're saying in the parable about the key, right? The key. That's because you're going into the wrong lock. You know what I'm saying? Your key means in another door, right? You're constantly trying to go into this door, but you're not accepted in that door. Right. Why? Because your key matches something else.
Yes, I love it.
And I think that's what we need to do. We get so faint-hearted, and we take things personal, Mike, like what you were saying. We take things so personal when no, it's actually a moment of growth. Taking a couple words we use. Silence is a good process. Mindfulness is a good process. Pausing is a good process. You know what I mean? Like, look at all these words. These words are actually to help us grow and mature, not only in God but with man. You see what I'm saying? And so that's kind of what I'm sorry, guys.
No, that's good.
I kind of spilled out.
As you're talking,
bit,
one of the things that came to my mind is rejection is highly appropriate when there's a standard to be met.
Interesting.
And of course, if the standard hasn't been met, then rejection should take place. Of course, one of the most powerful ones we know of in the scripture is when Cain was rejected of God because he didn't meet the standard. And what God was telling him was, if you meet the standard, you'll be accepted.
I love it.
It seems too simple, right? So, but he took it personal, and then he took other avenues because he took it personal.
Right.
But the rejection was not personal. The rejection was a performance didn't meet the standard.
It's meant to teach.
If you know what the standard is, you have the ability to meet the standard, and so then therefore meet the standard.
Right.
So rejection can be a growth process.
Wow. Should be, right? Good. It should be, because that was a lesson. It was an opportunity for a lesson. And kind of the cheat code from my mind when we're doing Let Your Words Count is exactly what you just said. It's like whatever the situation is, especially when we start looking at the emotional lens and the positive to negative spin, my question is always, when I'm going through something, especially if I'm going through something that feels negative, is what is the opportunity kind of hidden in this situation?
Is there anything good I can find to take out of it? And it's, again, I'm looking at things that are naturally, or that, that hit us in a negative way. As soon as I realize that's where I am, I start looking for, okay, what is the negative thing that's happening or that's making me feel this way? And then can I find any opportunities to use it towards something better, and not just sit here and wallow and just take negativity and pain and whatever else out of it? It's finding the opportunities in whatever we go through. Find opportunities to be better, to grow, to learn, to be something different, to take on something new, all those things. Look for opportunities when you find yourself in a situation that feels like it's not favorable.
Man.
But in what you just described, I'm hearing discipline, I'm hearing experience, and I'm hearing goal setting as well.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's something that we should all do.
Absolutely right.
And what I'm not hearing is emotions and feelings,
Right.
okay? Not saying that your emotions or feelings weren't touched.
Right.
Or tapped into, so to speak, but because of what you were able to rise above that. We have the ability to rise above and just look at it empirically. Is that the word? Is that a good word? Okay. Hey, I use the right word.
And I want to stress in what you said too, that decision is one that I use to override emotion. But emotion is the signal.
Gotcha.
Feeling that negative emotion, I'm not immune to negative emotions. It's just when I feel them, when I recognize it, I'm choosing that, okay, I'm recognizing that I'm feeling this negative thing. My experience has shown me, let's try to find an opportunity so you don't have to wallow in that and get past that event. Negative emotion is the trigger.
Okay.
It's just a matter of, am I going to let that win or let that in the driver's seat? Right.
Gotcha.
And I choose not to. Try to choose not to. And if I find I'm losing that battle, it's, again, an opportunity to remind yourself, I said when I'm feeling this, I'm going to go in this direction, and try to keep that discipline, right?
Wonderful.
So if you look at it, I know that was fire. That was great, bro.
Thinking too much.
I was thinking about when you are rejected, right? And you result to a barbaric or an animal spirit.
He turns into the Hulk.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I'm laughing. I just did it yesterday. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm learning.
But it's going back to.
It's an opportunity because I punched my car yesterday. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
You said what?
What happened to the little tooth on the front of the Beamer?
Really? I noticed that when I came in.
Get the heck out of it. Oh, I can't wait to hear this story.
Your boy has issues.
I can't wait to hear this story. I pulled up like, what happened to the little beaver too?
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Moving on.
I'm listening, bro. I'm listening for an opportunity.
Teach. All right. So, man, I can't even start. Right, let's see. So,
I can't wait to hear this.
Oh my god.
That brother.
I'm a work in progress, bro. Go ahead.
But that's real. That's real. That's real. You know, so I kind of like was thinking about. I was thinking about this. Like I was thinking about the fallout of rejection. I was thinking about. The emotional side of rejection is dangerous because you would harm the things that later on you're going to need. You'd be like, oh, I needed that. That's funny. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
I admit, like
You only hurt the one you love, right?
Yeah. You know, so I was just kind of thinking about that. I was just like, it was just as we was talking. I'm being as real as I possibly can and transparent, right? Just thinking about this word rejection a little bit more and how I actually feel. Like you said, you feel a certain type of way, but it's up to us to choose the better side of who we desire to be. You know what I'm saying? Rejection will always exist. Rejection is always going to be there. The question is, when it comes, what behavior and ideal agency do you choose to represent? You see what I'm saying?
Say it one more time.
What type of ideal agency would you like to represent when you are rejected the next time? It's not if, it's when you are rejected.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you look at rejection, going back to the reframe, let's reframe it, right? Is not to turn into a monster or turn into a person or an image of something that your children look at and they desire to model after. You see what I'm saying? Because even with me, I have an issue with road rage sometimes. not running people off the ground, but Brother James hear me. Y'all always hear me. I'll be like, come on. You know what I'm saying? The thing is this, it's like, it's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing you can do about other people's behaviors. So why are you reducing who you are about a moment that you cannot change? You see what I'm saying? So when that moment it comes of rejection, are you reducing yourself or are you elevating yourself to the next level where improvement can truly be recognized?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I'm thinking about, man. But I need to hear about this BMW.
Yeah, right.
No. But seriously though, that's it for me. I don't know if anybody else have anything else.
I'm good. I've learned a lot.
Yeah, this was a good one. I really appreciate you guys sitting down and us having this conversation, and everyone that's viewing. I don't know. These words mean something, and it's about growth. It's about life. And if there's any deterioration in your soul or your spirit and your mind that is keeping you or preventing you to excel to achieve or excel to the next level within yourself and your capabilities or God, take some time to take a step back and really evaluate words. Evaluate the words that enter into your mind, because you are the doorman of your own thoughts. You are the one that's able to open and close that door. Some stuff we open that we should not, and some we open or we close when we should allow it in, so to speak. But be very intentional with these words. Define them. They are here for a reason. And don't let people manipulate you. Use discernment when these words come in. No one has a monopoly over words. Okay? No one can legislate these words. All right? You have control over what enters into your brain. All right?
I love it.
Signing out. Please like, share, subscribe. And we love y'all. And that's why we're doing this thing. God bless. Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Peace.